dodgy. Welcome back. You joined me. The year is 1972. Mini has recently released their little passenger vehicle, and it's a huge success. The French decided they needed something that could spice up their market a bit, and so they decided to release something called the Renault 5. This is what we are in and what you joined me with. It is a 1978 Renault 5 TS, and it is terrible. It's not actually that bad. It's aged okay. It's aged better than that Renault Clio. So Renault brought many different models of this Renault 5 out over the years. It was in production from 72 all the way up to 1990, and sales continued until 1996. Throughout that period, Renault made many different models, which included a TS version, a TX version, an Alpine version, an Alpine Turbo, and a GT Turbo. Amongst others, the American markets had their own versions, etc. Okay, but we're not really interested too much in the history of this car in the normal production environment. We're interested in the racing pedigree and what this car actually brought about in terms of Renault racing. So we're all familiar with the Renault Clio Cup, which is extremely popular and a feeder category to British touring cars. Well, before the Clios were racing in the Clio Cup, it was the Renault 5s. And you had various different European series. You had a Belgian series, you had a French series, and you had a British series. And check my history here quickly. So the French series ran from 1972 all the way up to 1990 with the Renault 5. They used all the different variations of the Renault 5, from the LS version, the Alpine version, Alpine Turbo, and even the GT Turbo right at the end. The British version of the series used the TL, the TS, and the GT Turbo. They also ran from 74 all the way up to 1990. And so that's what we're interested in with this car. So welcome to our new project car. This is going to be a hell of a challenge. What I want to do is I want to recreate an original Renault Cup car, and this one is not a turbo. This is a 1300 French power plant, 1300 cc's of pure French glory. So what the aim of this car really, I want to create the original Cup car. Now there's going to be many challenges in this, and a few of them are the engine, because so many Renault 5s raced in turbo form. There's a lot of support for the turbo cars. dodgy. Woo! So there's a lot of support for the turbo cars. God, this thing is terrible. Woo! It doesn't drive in a straight line. And there's not a lot of support for the normally aspirated variant. The turbo was a 1400, the Alpines were 1400s, this one is a 1300. And so there's going to be quite a few challenges in trying to make it into a racing pedigree car. So there's a few challenges with the engine. The next challenges are going to come in the suspension. So this car uses it's a torsion bar type suspension. So instead of having conventional coil springs, it uses a bar and uses a twisting motion of a spring steel bar as its spring on all four corners of the car, which is great. It gives you independent rear suspension. However, how do you stiffen up the suspension for a race, a track car? That's going to be one of our challenges. There's actually many challenges, but that's what's great. And the nice thing is that there aren't a lot of people that have done this. This is a great little car, and it's got amazing racing pedigree and history. There's not a lot of information about it, but my goal is to recreate the Bilstein version of this. There's a picture up now, and so dampers are going to be an issue, ball joints are going to be an issue, bearings, side shafts, getting the right camber, getting the right springs for this car, getting the engine to make half decent power without putting an Alpine head on it, and so, and also this being a right-hand drive, you've got the steering column on this side, so this head has the exhaust intake on the left-hand side. The Alpine version of the cylinder head was a cross-flow design, and therefore had the intake on the right-hand side of the engine. So I don't think the Alpine version will fit in the right-hand drive because of the steering column. So we've got to make that existing cylinder head work, etc., etc. And the goal is to be able to build it to a version that we can race in the South African Historics Championship. To do that, we have to obviously follow the rules of this. So, like I say, there's many challenges. Whoa! And this thing handles like an absolute boat. It sounds alright though. And it like lifts up on the spring. Oh! Let's see what it does round the corner. Lifting up and it just keeps twisting. So in other words, there's endless amounts of droop in the front and endless amounts of like bump and squat in the rear. So what we're going to do today is I'm going to take this back, give it a good clean, and kind of show you what we have to work with as a blank canvas, and then from there we're just going to start ripping it apart. We're going to gut it to make it safe and pass regulations for racing. So yeah, let's check it out. this is what we have to work with. Let's have a look at it. Obviously it's so hard to see here. There's the carb. There's the gearbox. So the unique thing about this car is that if you look at the center line of where the wheel is, we follow it up. Engine's facing the back as it would be in a rear-wheel drive car, and the gearbox is in front of the engine. So effectively it's like an Audi gearbox turned around. Which actually is quite interesting. That should be really good for balance on the car in terms of chassis handling and that. So that's going to be interesting to see. Obviously we're not going to change that, anything like that. So that's a Weber carb. I'll have to find the code on that. This is the engine, 1300 so and so, good stuff. Here are the tags, which we're going to keep, obviously. So yeah, that's can't really see too much. So what's interesting is it actually has a double wishbone suspension. So the short wishbone on the top, long wishbone on the bottom. These discs are absolutely tiny. The hubs are interesting. It's a 3-stud hub. So I'll just have to check the rules to see if we can actually modify that to become a 4-stud bolt pattern. So yeah, that's quite interesting. Obviously there's a lot of work involved here. Everything is worn out. All the bushes, all the ball joints. The rear axle, it's so hard to see here, but it pivots basically there, right over there, and then down here, that's effectively where the springs are. So I don't know if you can see, so it's mounted there, pivots there, and basically is connected to one of those shafts, which is fixed on the other end. So as the wheel goes up in the bump, as the wheel hits a bump and it goes up, the shock dampens the bump, and then that steel shaft twists and effectively is the spring. Obviously as you load the car onto the wheels, the shaft twists and then suspends the car in air. So what we are going to try and do is get rid of that whole spring setup and run a coilover system, which will obviously be a lot better. Gives you a lot more adjustability as well. So anyhow, I think that's it for now. I'm going to just let it dry off for a bit and then put the wheels back on and get it back inside, and then we'll have a closer look. Alright, that's a wrap guys. Thank you so much for watching. Like I said, we've got a lot of work ahead of us. There's a lot that needs to be changed. We've got a lot of challenges on this car, but it's okay. That's why we're doing this, you know. And the nice thing is it's going to be a nice unique challenge. It's going to be something different as well. It's not really racing in the South African series at the moment, but it has raced historically in South Africa at the old Kyalami circuit, and I'll put up pictures of that now. So very excited about it. A lot of challenges. All the suspension is worn out completely, but I think it's going to be a great little project. It's going to be a wonderful little car when it's done, and it's back to basics racing, and that's what it's all about. Well, what cup racing is supposed to be like. It's really about basics and about the driver, you know. So that's what we're going to try and achieve with this car. So come and join us for the ride. If you like this video, please hit the like. Maybe consider subscribing, and yeah, support us during these difficult times. So stay tuned. Ciao.